My name is Ethan Birdwell. I work at the national headquarters for Honest Abe Log Homes, and I'm in sales. So, in talking about budgeting, the whole point of a budget is to make sure that you stay on track financially. So, a lot of clients, and it would be myself included if I'm building a home, potentially may need financing. So, whenever you have to finance a home, the bank or whatever lending institution you're going to use is going to want to know exactly what the home is going to cost. They know that there's going to be some variables. They understand that, but you have to have the most data possible to show the lender how much money this is going to cost. So whenever we look into pricing of a home and creating the budget, what we want to do is we want to look into the options that's going to mitigate a lot of cost. So just like you would have selections of different types of cabinets, countertops, floorings, different grades of materials, you have the same option whenever you're talking about materials with us, and not necessarily grade options, so maybe I shouldn't have said that, but so log style, for example, will affect the price. Larger logs will cost more than a smaller log. We have different options in roof framings based on the design. So we would step through material selections to make sure that we stay as close to your number as possible. We would look into windows, log styles, and then we would take a look at the design. Maybe there's a wraparound porch on the design originally, and to save a little bit of money, we would remove some of the porch so that you don't have to give up, say, the cabinets and countertops that you would want. So initially, in setting a budget price, the best thing to do would be to, if you're not working with cash, I'll say it this way, if you're not working with cash, you would go to a lending institution, whether it be your local bank or an entity like Farm Credit, Mid-America. You can go to them and they'll do what's called a pre-approval. You'll give your basic financial information, and then they in turn will be able to give you a pre-approval. And so that says, based on your upfront financials, this is how much home you can afford. And then typically we would work backward from there. They would select a general design, and then we would look at materials and then the associated costs for the materials to be able to fit within that number. So if you've created a budget, the first thing that we would do is we would take a look at the plan that you would want to build. After we take a look at that, we can price it out, and we could introduce you to general contractors. So we as a company, depending on where you are in the country, would provide a kit, so the structure of the home. And then in other cases, we can provide the structure as well as a dry-in service, or what's commonly called framing labor. So depending on what's needed within our price, based on where you are at in the U.S., we can provide you a price for the kit or the material and the dry-in labor, and we can help you find local contractors to where your build location is, and those local contractors can provide the finalized cost for everything else. So the foundation, the site prep, the utilities, the interior finishes that we don't do as part of our framing labor service. And then you would take those two numbers and add them together, and if it's over your budget, between us, the general contractor, and you, we can look at options to reduce the cost. And if it's, of course, below or at your budget, you're able to move forward with building, and you know exactly what that's going to cost. So if you happen to be over budget, and this would be dependent upon design, so I'm going to give some theoreticals. So as I mentioned earlier, if you have a wraparound porch on your initial design, maybe only doing a front and a rear porch with the option to add the two sides later. That would reduce some upfront costs to help you stay below budget, and it can be added later. Some other options may be going from the most expensive window that we offer to a more cost-effective window. And just because you go cost-effective doesn't mean that you lose quality, because we always have to meet, regardless, you always have to meet code minimums for everything that you do. So just because you are reducing cost doesn't mean you lose quality. So another option could be going from a quartz countertop to maybe a Formica countertop for a few years, and then upgrading to a quartz or a granite or something to that effect. So doing some things on the front end that can easily be changed later is what I would advise to do. And so that's one example with us, say, on the windows, and then the general contractor side with the countertops. Those would be ways on both ends that you could reduce the cost up front. So whenever a client comes in, here would be the steps that we would take of not only creating a price or a budget, but also seeing the project through, to the end. So the first thing, whenever you walk in, you have your budget number. We'll assume that you've already gotten a pre-approval if you need financing, or if you're working with cash, you already have a number in mind you want to stick with. So based off of that, myself or whatever rep that you work with through our company can help guide you based on generalities that we see in price. Very rarely will we know exactly what your home is going to cost on the front end, just because costs vary based off of the state you build in, the engineering that's needed to be done based on the state and area, as well as the materials chosen, because we don't know what type of cabinets, countertops, flooring, that type of thing that you're going to choose, which is what a general contractor would handle with you secondary to us. But we can help you based off of the generalities or averages that we see. We can help guide you toward, say, hey, maybe on the front end, let's look at these options to make sure you maintain that budget or as close as possible. So we'll help you with your selections. We will give you an upfront price, and then you can take any sketch that you've made along with our price to a general contractor, get their price, and then you can see a general overview of the entire cost of the home. So you come in with your budget. We will guide you based off of our general knowledge of averages on what you could expect in price. Then you can take our number that we do for you based on the quote or based on the sketch you provided, the quote, take it to the general contractor and then get their price. And then you have an overall cost of the home that you would then take back to the bank for a hard approval. So on the overall budget number, whenever you come in and speak with one of our direct salespeople, we can give you averages of what we think it's going to cost based on our past experience. But because everyone is different, it may not be 100% accurate, but we can be in the general ballpark. So we would give you our price, whether it's a material only or material and the dry and labor, and then you would take our price and you would add it to the general contract you're speaking with. So just theoretically, and I'm pulling numbers out of the air, if you were to have a budget of, say, $400,000, if you come to us and the home that you chose, the sketch that you made, the cost for the material and the dry end for us to frame it for you would be $100,000. So you know you have $300,000 left to account for in the build. So you would talk to the general contractor, show them your sketch, tell them the types of cabinets, countertops, the types of tile you want, flooring, anything else that's not included within your Honest Abe package, and then the labor that we do. And then you would take that number and add it. So if theirs is $200,000, so if you add the two together, now you have $300,000 and you have $100,000 of your budget still accounted for, to where you can then choose to make upgrades, or you can maybe choose to do something that you haven't thought about, just to still play within your budget. Or you can just leave that $100,000 out and build a $300,000 home. So again, this is all theoretical, but you'll take our number and add it to the general contractor's number, and that's your overall cost for your entire home. Everything that goes into a budget would be literally everything for the construction process, the physical construction of the home from materials and labor. But there may be some things you don't think about, such as permitting, or maybe a driveway to get from the road back to where your foundation is going to be, where you're going to build. So those things need to be included as well. We have a handy little a handout or a pamphlet that you can use, in which you can organize all of your data from different contractors. So if you're self-contracting, for an example, and you're not going to hire a general contractor, there's space on this handout in which you can do 3 different bids or quotes from different contractors, different subcontractors, and then in the end you can add it all together to get your total cost. So you can use that budget worksheet to help you organize your data as you price your home. If you were to ask me or another salesperson to recommend a budget, it would be hard for us to do because we don't know your financial situation. However, if you do give us a budget and some general ideas of what you're looking for in a floor plan, if you tell us, okay, this is what I want to see whenever I drive up my driveway, this is what I want to see when I walk in my front door, we can then point you to maybe a few designs that you could consider that would, number one, help you stay within the budget, but also meet your design criteria. So we can help pinpoint you at a starting point to give you your best shot on the front end of staying within budget. So if you see this video and you're interested in researching or getting a quote on whether it's one of our log homes that's on our website, our quote-unquote standard plans, or if you've drawn up a sketch, on our website, www.honestabe.com, you can request information. Once you request information based on the area you plan to build in, we'll connect you with your most local representative, and then they'll be reaching out to you. You'll get a brochure in the mail, and then once you get to speak with that representative, then they can provide a price based on your specific needs and your specific plans. We hope you enjoyed our budget video, and if you have liked what you've seen or like what you've heard and you would like to know more, feel free to go again to our website, www.honestabe.com, or feel free to give us a call at 800-231-3695. We'll be happy to help you further.